What is up, sports geeks? It's your host, Josh. You're back with another episode, joined by Alec yet again. Alec, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to talk Caitlin Clark here. So, this is a hot topic, right? So I kind of just jumped right into it. Olympic roster comes out maybe about a week ago. Caitlin Clark not named to the roster. Obviously, she brings a ton of attention to the sport. There are a ton of fans that are huge, basketball fans that are huge Caitlin Clark fans that are upset by this. I'm curious to get your opinion on this. Do you think it's the correct decision to leave her off the Olympic roster or not?
Yeah, so I think this is a very, I don't know how to say it. This topic can go many ways. Do I think she should be on the team? Yes. From a financial standpoint, yes. From a rating standpoint, yes. I think that, and this is just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I have actually enjoyed watching. I've never watched a WNBA game before this year.
Mm-hmm.
Since Caitlin Clark came in the league, I actually watched on Sunday when the Fever played the Sky. Dude, it was a great game.
Yeah.
It was like in the 90s. It was awesome.
Yes.
And it's good basketball. The difference is that people need to be tuned in, like they need to watch the game to realize that.
Yeah.
So Caitlin Clark is a vehicle for people to start watching professional women's basketball. And she's like the hottest person in sports right now. So why not continue to kind of ride that wagon?
Yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from too. I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit and just say that I think that realistically to put her on this team is so dramatic that I worry that it's going to break the team up, right? Like Cheryl Reeve this is like a 3-year selection for Cheryl Reeve to make to pick her team, right? Like they have camps in 22. They have camps all of 2023, and they had exhibitions like overseas, this spring. And Caitlin Clark didn't participate in any of that. Every single one of these players on this roster did participate in at least one or two of those. So that makes me think like, okay, Caitlin Clark has to go in and learn Cheryl Reeve's system within, I don't know how many practices they get, but it's under 10 for sure. And adjust to playing with everybody's new teammates, right? I just can understand why from Cheryl Reeve's perspective, maybe having her on the team hurts your ability to win a gold medal because of the attention it brings in, right? Because of how much attention she brings in. If she's player number, 9, 10 on your roster, if her playing, 18 of the 40 minutes is going to be a cancer to the team because of the external factors, right? I'm not saying that Caitlin Clark would be like, raising hell, right? But because of the external factors of how many people that are, strictly Caitlin Clark fans, I think it might be an issue. So kind of just to play devil's advocate there.
Yeah. And I get that. I get that. The problem is that there will be people now that do not watch because she's not playing. That's the problem.
Yes.
I would like people to see good basketball. Mm-hmm. It will be good basketball. They're going to win a gold medal whether she's on the team or not. So it doesn't really matter. But I do understand the camp thing. I do understand 2022, 2023. I do get that. Mm-hmm. This is just the perfect opportunity for them to drive this vehicle that is Caitlin Clark for viewership. Mm-hmm. And it just stinks that it's not happening.
Right. Now, I will say that like Chelsea Gray's on the roster, right? And she hasn't played a game all season because of a leg injury. And so there's still a chance.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because I know that there wasn't like a timetable for a return.
Yes.
So potentially she could get added late.
Right.
And you know what's funny about this? I was thinking about this when I saw that on ESPN. It's kind of like a second chance for them. So they didn't put her on the roster. They saw the hate that it got. So it's kind of the ball's in their court again if Gray can't play, where it's like, okay, well, are we gonna add somebody else, or are we gonna add her to the team?
Right. Yeah, I think it would, the backlash if, say, Chelsea Gray can't play, the backlash that Team USA and Cheryl Reeve would get if you, exactly what you're saying, if you get a second chance and you still don't add her to the roster, you're going to get a lot of backlash there for sure. But, I think it is difficult for Caitlin Clark too, because you are you dominated college basketball. That's without a doubt, right? I mean, the greatest college basketball player, probably college athlete to ever play.
Yeah, men's or women's, you could argue.
Yeah, in any sport I mean, realistically, it doesn't matter. I mean, she set every single record you can imagine at Iowa, right? For at Iowa, but for just in NCAA in general too. And then you go into the WNBA and I don't want to say struggling because struggling isn't the correct term, but you're adjusting, right? I mean, she's shooting like 37% from the floor. She's averaging, I think, like five or so turnovers.
The turns are high.
It hasn't been efficient, right? And she's adjusting to it, right? Like the game against the Sky is exactly what you're talking about. I think she was 7 of 11 from the floor, 19 points, very efficient. That is the adjustment, but it's so difficult to make that adjustment in your professional career and also at the same time go compete for your country with, I mean, an entire new team, a system that you've never played with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also do think, and this is something that's different from the men's game that I'm adjusting to. Mm-hmm. The men's USA team is like when everybody plays has easily the best players as well, but the gap between the U.S. women and the rest of the world is pretty crazy.
Yes.
So
just the WNBA really has not gone international yet.
No, and the gap is way bigger than the men's.
Right.
It's kind of like dream team gap, like when they play other teams. So that's why I'm saying they're going to win the gold no matter what. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're betting favorites. I mean, in the thousands, I'm guessing to maybe not that heavy, but they're pretty heavy favorites to win. Do you know the odds?
No, I don't, but I can pull it up here. Well, the other thing too, though, is that like exactly what you're saying, you're going to win it either way. There's girls that have been, women that have been in these camps, right, for the last 3 years, and you're participating in these camps trying to earn an Olympics roster spot, right? Just the envy that you would have if you're, working your ass off, trying to get a spot. Caitlin Clark isn't at any of these. She couldn't have been because she was, playing in the Final Four. So it's not anything against Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Clark can't be at there. So then she comes in and takes your spot and essentially takes your gold medal. I can understand why, there would be people that would be really upset by that. And I think that based off of this selection, I think that's kind of the Cheryl Reeve mindset, right? Is that we have all these women that have been working their butts off to get a spot on this team for the last 3 years. We're going to reward them because we essentially know that Caitlin Clark has minimum 3 more Olympics that she's going to dominate in. Probably win most outstanding player for the Olympics for 3 straight Olympics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. We kind of live in a world where the best people get the spots. So if she's better than somebody on the team, then she should be on the team.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand there's repercussions to that, but I feel like in the world, like the best people get the best spot. Like it's like I'm trying to think of an example. Like I can't really think of like a good like sports example, but in your job, if you're performing well, then you get rewarded. Correct. And if you're not, then you're not. So it's kind of just like if she, and if she was balling out, if she was averaging 25 a game in the WNBA, she'd be on the team easy.
Right. Well, I think even if her efficiency is just better, if I think she's definitely struggled with that. But to answer your question, by the way, they're minus 1,400 to win. Next is China, and kind of just to make that point, there have been 7 Chinese WNBA players ever. I don't know how many are active right now, but it's just where it's just not international yet. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to see a huge just influx.
Well, the reason it hasn't gone international is because of the pay. Right. Like foreign leagues historically have paid more than the WNBA, but the WNBA has a chance now, and this is why I'm tying it back into the Caitlin Clark being on the team. They have a chance to get a new TV contract. Yes. They have a chance to drive ratings. They have a chance to drive viewership. Yeah. This would be the first step. I understand, everything you've said totally makes sense. Totally get that. But if you're thinking from an economical perspective here, it is not good for business for her not to be on this team.
Right. I completely agree. I'm curious too. So like when Cheryl Reeve selects her team, is there any of that input? You know what I mean? Is there anybody from like, the American Olympic Committee or even from the WNBA saying, "Hey, please, like this really helps our sport."
Yeah,
I kind of doubt it just because of how
I
serious
doubt it.
the Olympics is.
I doubt that heavily, just because you got to think about this as well. The WNBA isn't the WNBA. The NBA and the WNBA are like a partnership, right?
Right.
So the WNBA wants to grow their game. They're probably not as worried about, they want to get good ratings, but they know that Caitlin Clark's going to get it from their games anyway. I mean,
Yes.
I've watched games on CBS this year. We were talking about this, the Fever and Sky game. Like that was I know we talked about it. It's a great game, and it's
Yes.
on CBS now. I mean, they're on CBS, ABC, ESPN. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure that game pulled in over 1 million viewers on Sunday.
Yes. I mean, well, WNBA season is 36 games long, 37 games, I believe,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that the Indiana Fever have 32 nationally televised games. Like, it is crazy, and then the ratings have been through the roof. And I also think, kind of just on a side note, the rookie draft class right now, I think next Olympics we will see 6 or 7 of the girls on this team, or the women from this draft class on that team, right? Like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Cameron Brink, Nika Mule. I know she's German. I don't know if she would play for Germany or us, but I mean that's 5 right there that are already year one making big impacts in the WNBA. 4 years from now, it's going to be even more.
yep.
So this draft class is going to be crazy good in the future in women's.
And I think the one positive thing about this is that the WNBA is growing. No matter if Caitlin Clark plays or not, it's growing, and that's a great thing for basketball. And the good part about it growing is that the talent matches the viewership as well.
Yes.
So it's not just people are watching because of Caitlin Clark. The talent league wide is very solid, and the games
Right.
are fun to watch.
Well, I think a really good thing for the WNBA was how much Caitlin Clark has almost struggled. Like, if Caitlin Clark would have came in and averaged 33 a game,
It would have been a joke.
and
It
did
would have
the
been like more, yeah,
everyone that was just joining the crowd would have said, "Oh, this is why I didn't watch it in the first place because Caitlin Clark can dominate it." She can't right now.
no,
She has to adjust to it, and it is a real. I mean, it's people expect the jump from college to pro to be easy. This is a very difficult jump.
yeah.
Not even
You could even
physically.
argue that, and this is, it's just different than the men's game. It's kind of just a different sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching it, just because of the women are a lot more physical than you'd think in the
Yeah.
WNBA. It's very physical. Caitlin Clark is just getting pushed around,
Yeah.
and I know that is, and I wanted to get into this a little bit. I do think there is some jealousy and some envy
Mm-hmm.
of some of the players about the attention that she brings and the attention she gets. Um, and I don't know why there would be, because she's growing the game.
Right, but I don't think it's any different than any other sport
No,
too.
of course not.
Like,
It's
I
just
mean,
competitiveness. You want to beat her.
right. Like if you are playing against somebody and they are better than you and are going to beat you and continue to beat you and beat you and beat you, it's like, I mean, this is an odd example, but like Neymar when he was like, prime Neymar to go to a soccer,
Yeah,
he taunted. Caitlin Clark doesn't really taunt that much, but like Neymar would beat you off the dribble 10 times in a game, and after time 4, you're like, all right, screw this, I'm fouling you. Not
yeah.
because
No, I agree.
I
Yeah,
don't like you, but just because I'm tired of you beating me. I'm tired of you being better than me. So,
I
like, I
totally
mean,
agree.
I understand. I mean, we've played games at the Cincinnati Rec where it's like, all right, this
Yeah,
dude's good. We're just fouling him. Like,
yeah. No, and this is like a people that are uber competitive. If you're a professional athlete in the WNBA, I
yeah,
mean, you're the top 1% of competitors. So, um, you want to win. You will, and this is just me as well. Like, it's very hard to give somebody else credit
yes,
for beating you, and that's in anything. It's
right,
hard to like swallow that and just like have that pride, and that ego kind of, especially like when you are at that level, it'd be very hard. I mean,
right,
you see in the NFL all the time. Josh Allen hasn't shaken hands after games. Patrick Mahomes was crying. Remember when Josh Allen beat him in the regular season that he was crying to him at midfield? It's hard. Tom
yeah,
Brady wouldn't shake people's hands after games. It's
yeah,
really hard to be a good sport. And it's really no different than any other profession, really,
No,
in sports.
no, it's not. But I mean, either way, it's like you said, the attention towards the WNBA, the ratings have been great too. It's not even like there's been a ton of attention and the ratings aren't great. The ratings have been great. The attention's great. This year, every team has private charters to games
Yeah.
now. It's the first time in all of in league history. Like you said, there's been significant steps to make this, a league that is a, sought out, like people watch all the time league, a heavily sought after league. So this is, I mean, been great improvements. It's going to be interesting to see, though. If obviously Chelsea Gray is the name that is the highest chance to not play because of injury. There's a chance that anybody else on this roster too gets injured. The WNBA season still runs for another couple weeks, I want to say, before pausing. Maybe even a month.
I just wouldn't be surprised. I really don't think, even with injuries, I don't think she's making the team. I think they've kind of took a stance. With that, I think if she was going to be on the team, she probably would have been on the team to begin with.
Yeah.
Because now it kind of just looks like they're saving their own butt if they put her on the team now because of the backlash that happened. I don't know. My last point is just, I wish they would just, ride the vehicle that is Caitlin Clark's viewership now to grow the league later. I think it would pay dividends, but if they don't decide to do that, the WNBA viewership is still going to continue to rise. I mean, either way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing too is that, I mean, kind of to loop back to my point earlier, I don't know if Caitlin Clark's role on this team, I don't know if she comes in and takes minutes away from a lot of people. Like, that's my thing is I look at like their shot creating guards, which is what she is, right? You have Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, Sabrina Ionescu. Those are three studs, like studs. So,
actually, yeah.
I mean, Caitlin Clark is a stud, don't get me wrong, but she has not necessarily done that at the WNBA level. All three of those women I just named have all done it at the WNBA level for years. So to say I'm going to come in, and the other thing, they've done it in Team USA qualifying, in exhibitions, in Olympic qualifying, in camps. So you've done it with the United States of America on your chest. Now you're going to say that Caitlin Clark is going to come in and take your minutes. I understand why Cheryl Reeve is maybe just a little bit hesitant to pull that trigger.
Yeah. And I think a good example, and this might be a parallel to the men's game, it's kind of like when Zion Williamson came out and he was like so hyped. That's the only player that I can think of that was as hyped in the last couple of years, like 5-6 years, as Caitlin Clark in the men's game.
Yeah.
And there are people in the like, was he great? Yes. Is Caitlin Clark great? Yes. But she still needs to develop. You're right about that, 100%. There are people in the game that are better than her in the WNBA level. So you're right. Maybe she'd be the probably fourth or fifth best guard on the team.
Yes.
So it's not like they're leaving her off and she'd be the best guard.
Well, I would even think about it like this. Like, we've seen it like Victor Wembanyama last year was compared to LeBron as a prospect in the men's game. He was not an all-NBA player this year. He didn't win an all-NBA. So it's okay. As a rookie, it is a huge jump to make. That's exactly what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark right now, right? It's so much more physical. It's so much, more physically demanding. You're playing so many more, games on, a day's rest, 2 days rest consistently throughout the season. And I just don't think it's that, we shouldn't be judging her off of her stats right now. Like,
and her team also stinks.
Yes. You went to the worst team. Like, it's I mean, looking at Sabrina Ionescu, like, she in her rookie year, had shot 45% from the floor. Caitlin Clark shooting, I believe, 37, 38-ish right now. Then following 2 years, Sabrina won MVP. It's okay. Like, she's going to adjust. Caitlin Clark's going to adjust. And next year is the year that I would maybe start to be a little bit concerned if she's still showing poor efficiency.
I agree. And one last thing, just about when I brought up the envy of other people. I just don't like how it's not that they're not giving her respect. It's just that they do have to realize that there's a fine line between being a competitor and then also like helping promote the women's game and not like tearing her down.
Right.
Because I feel like that's what some people are doing as well. And it's just kind of like, in order to grow the game, you have to embrace her as well as being competitive with her. You can't bow down to her, but you can't just tear her down.
Right. Yeah. There's not even like you're not even taking half of a step back to say I'm taking it easy on you. You're just not going out of your way to nearly injure her. I mean, that's
exactly.
And I mean, there have been some borderline fouls like that where it's like, whoa, alrighty, like let's tone it down a little bit. But either way, this has been a great debate. I mean, who knows whether she'll end up on it? Probably not, but there's still a chance. If she does, we'll end up making a video about that too. Other than that, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. They play, we talk.